Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, and welcome back to another live stream. How's everybody doing today? Good morning or good day, depending on where you're from. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another live stream. How's everybody's day going so far? How's everybody's week going so far? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Gonna take some time to welcome the community to the live stream before we get into any information here today. Good morning, Muhammad. Good morning, Anton. Good morning, Rodrigo. Good morning, Mr. Nobody. Good morning, It's Nay. Good morning, JDM. Good morning, Khalil. Good morning, Rama. Irfan, what's up? HMH, what's up? Muhammad, good morning. Alfred, good morning. Enrique, good morning. Yassine, good morning. Francis, good morning. Daryl, how are you doing today? Tasha, good morning. Ezekiel, good morning. Tatiana, good morning. Francisco, good morning. Toko, good morning. Mike, good morning. Tad, good morning. Peter, how are you doing today? Makio, good morning. Jericho, good morning. Sapchim, good morning. Stephanos, good morning. A.O. Washington, good morning. How's everybody's day going so far? How's everybody's week going so far? Daniel, good morning. Rufy, good morning. Frank, good morning. Mr. Skyline, how are you doing today? Nicolas, good morning. Karen, good morning. Trader Kyra, good morning. Moshin, good morning. Christina, how are you doing today? Ahmed, how are you doing today? Paul, good morning. Ganesh, good morning. Marcus, good morning. Adam, good morning. Gaetano, good morning. Theron, good morning. Ivan, good morning. Yusuf, good morning. Sebastian, how are you doing today? Krypton, good morning. Joseph, good morning. Anthony, how are you doing today? Emron, good morning. Atman, good morning. King, good morning. Zicky, good morning. Mr. Gardner, how are you doing today? Dean, good morning. Hope everybody's day is going well. Hope everybody's week is going well. Just taking some time to welcome everybody to the live stream. Say good morning to the community before we get into any information here. L, good morning. Hope everybody's day is going well. Hope everybody's week is going well. Let's see how everybody's week is going so far. Throw a 1 in the chat if you're green on the week. Throw a 2 in the chat if you're red on the week. Or throw a 3 in the chat if you have not taken a trade yet this week. Okay, so it looks like we have a mixed bag here. Bunch of 1s, bunch of 2s, couple 3s. We do have to understand that in this business, losing is inevitable. Okay, so we cannot allow any certain type of result to deter us from completing our process. We have to understand that process is greater than results. We have to fall in love with the process. We have to allow the results to be a byproduct of it. So that is why we have justifications to our actions. That is why we have a model. It shows us what our actions should be every single day. And when you understand what needs to be completed every single day, then the results can be a byproduct. Right? So for anybody that is not journaling, that's where you need to start. That's the first justification to our actions. We have to be showing up for our session, every single session, documenting our pre-market analysis. During the session, we have to be documenting our during session analysis. And then when your session's done, document your post-session analysis. Right? Pre-market should be your bias and your draw on liquidity, what you think might happen for that session. During market analysis should be what actually happened during the session. Did your model appear? What your thoughts and actions were while price was fluctuating. And then post-market analysis would be the results of that. Journaling's not just the chart. You have to put your thoughts, your actions into the journaling as well, so that you can clearly understand what you were thinking, what your actions were during the time of. Journaling is going to be your best learning opportunity. You don't need to risk to journal. You can show up and educate yourself every single day. Next is having a model, right? And everybody knows that my model is the unicorn model. That's how you know whether there is or isn't a trade that day, right? You see me come in here and create a game plan before the market opens each day, right? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Or are you neutral, right? Create a bias. Point to a draw on liquidity. Then during the market, does the market present your model? If it presents your model, does it work out correctly? Yes or no? Or if it doesn't present your model, document that as well. It's how you understand whether there is or isn't a trade, right? If there's no stop hunt, then there is no unicorn. If there's no displacement through a breaker block, then there is no unicorn. If there is no FVG aligned with the breaker, then there is no unicorn. All right, so understanding what is and is not a trade is very important. Okay. Then comes staying away from the new shiny object syndrome. Right, this is why we have a model. You have to find discipline in having a model. If you're going to sit there and change the way you enter the market every single day you engage with the market, then you're changing the variables to your system, and your data is not going to be very clear throughout your journal. Doesn't really matter what model you use, doesn't really matter what entry function you use. All I'm saying is choose one and stick to it. There's nothing worse than the new shiny object syndrome. If you're consistently always changing the way you operate, you're never going to be able to build that muscle memory. So in my opinion, stick to one model. Conviction is built through repetition. So doing the same thing over and over and over again is what builds that muscle memory. Have a defined model and stick to it. And then lastly is being able to be objective, right? Being in control of your emotions or your thoughts. Being mentally intelligent, emotionally intelligent. Because you have to be able to learn from both winners and losers. That's what being objective is, right? Objective is without influence. You have to be objective to your results so that you can learn from all experiences. Right? If you have a loss and you get so emotionally deterred from a loss that you can't review those results and get a learning experience from it, you're just holding yourself back. You're holding yourself back from a learning opportunity. Because the reality of the scenario is you will have losers. In this business, losing is inevitable. You have to understand how to most efficiently react to it. Okay, so journal, journal, journal. Show up, complete the justifications to your actions every single session. Stick to one model and do it 1,000,000 times over until it's muscle memory. And be objective to your results. Okay, so just getting the mindset right before we get into any information here. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to take a sip of water and then we'll go over the game plan for today. Alrighty, thank you for your patience. Let's get into the game plan for today. Most important element, Every single time is our time. Every time that we develop a game plan, we always start the day on the economic calendar. Okay, so we can see that we have a 10 a.m. red folder. We need to be aware of that. We also need to understand that it's non-farm payroll week. Okay, so I personally don't participate Wednesday to Friday of non-farm payroll week. Non-farm payroll is one of the most volatile news events we have. That and CPI. Okay, you also have to understand that this is not the non-farm payroll I'm referring to. Let me put up the weekly calendar. Right, Friday at 8:30 a.m. is the volatile event. This is for the private sector. This is for public and private. That's the difference. Okay, so 8:30 a.m. on Friday, huge news event. The days leading up to this event, the days leading up to CPI, the days leading up to FOMC, they like to build liquidity on both sides of the marketplace. So the reasoning of the volatility, the reasoning of the indecision in price is the reason why I don't participate Wednesday to Friday of non-farm payroll week. I also don't participate on CPI. I also don't participate on FOMC. And then I also don't participate on bank holidays. Right, so understanding when to participate and when not to participate is very important, because time is our most important element. Other than the economic calendar, we like to participate during the opening times, right? So Asia open, London open, New York open. The opening times are very important. Stock market opens at 9:30. So the public is allowed to start participating at 9:30. That is why we need to understand that the opening times are important. There will be an influx of volatility at 9:30 each day. Okay. Simple supply and demand. More participants in the marketplace brings more volatility. So the first part of our game plan is time. We want to be participating during the opening times, and we always need to be aware of the red folders. Second element is bias or draw on liquidity. In my opinion, those two things mean the same thing. Okay. To obtain a bias, I go on the daily chart. And I look at swing highs, swing lows, and FVGs. Price is currently located at a swing low. Price wicked the swing low and then closed back inside the range. That makes it look like a sweep of external for a move back internal. Okay, below old lows and inside bullish FVGs, I have a bullish bias. Above old highs and inside bearish FVGs, I have a bearish bias. The invalidation to a bias is displacement, right? So if we were to have displaced through this swing low, right? Displacement literally means the presence of an FVG. But that's not what happened yesterday. We wicked below the swing low. We just wicked it here and then closed back inside the range. Okay. So if there was a bearish FVG at this location, that's when I would say being bullish here is invalidated. The presence of displacement is what shows invalidation to a bias. Okay, so now we have a bias. So that's the second part of our plan. Last part of the plan is our entry function. Everybody knows that I use the unicorn model as an entry function. Right, so it is New York Open. We have a bullish bias. Therefore, I would be looking for a bullish unicorn during New York Open. That's the game plan for today. Right, so we can go down to our entry function time frame and look for an entry function. When looking for an entry function, we need a stop hunt, which is a run below a swing low. Then we need displacement through the breaker block. And lastly, an FVG aligned with the breaker. Right, so we need this right here. Since we're bullish today, we would want to see a bullish setup. This is what a bullish setup looks like. Swing low, swing high, stop hunt because we run below the initial swing low, and then we get a new high. The breaker block is always going to be found in the initial swing low to the initial swing high. A bullish breaker is always going to be an up closed candle. So we would need to look for the highest up closed candle in this leg here before the leg down that took liquidity. We need to see displacement through the breaker block. Right, candle closures past the breaker block. And we would need to see an FVG aligned with it. Right here. It does not matter how much of the FVG is aligned with the breaker block. It is simply touching the breaker block or it's not. Right, so if the FVG looks like this, that's fine. If the FVG looks like this, that's fine. It's either touching the breaker block or it's not touching the breaker block. Okay, so we need all three of these things to create a bullish unicorn. We're looking for a bullish unicorn because of our game plan. Shouldn't have erased that. Let me put that back up here. So we'll leave that up here. We can also leave the entry function up here as well. Okay, so now that we know the game plan, now that we know what we're looking for, a couple tips to go with it. I want to be executing from a higher time frame level, right? So this is where we go to the hourly chart. And since we're bullish, the higher time frame levels that we would want to use are swing lows or bullish FVGs, right? So you can see here that during New York Open, price ran below an hourly swing low. That would be a location to look for long positions. That is a higher time frame point of interest. So that's the first key, is I want to execute a position that is aligned with my bias from a higher time frame level. That's the first key. The second key would be to have SMT. Notice how ES did not sweep the same low that NQ swept, right? Take a look at the timestamps. 1500 to 9 o'clock. 1500 to 9 o'clock. Seeing that ES did not sweep the same low that NQ swept, that is bullish SMT. Okay? So that's the second key there, is that you want to be executing during the opening time. You want to be executing from a higher time frame level. You want to be executing in line with your bias or draw on liquidity. You want to see SMT to show that liquidity has been taken and there's strength or weakness in the marketplace. Since we're looking for longs today, we would want to see bullish SMT to show that liquidity has been taken below this hourly swing low and that there's some strength in the marketplace. All these things together and you have an entry function. Right? So we have the first step of a unicorn model, right? Price ran below the swing low here. So you have a stop hunt. That's all you have so far. You would then need displacement through the breaker block, right? Candle closures past the breaker block that also leave an FEG aligned with the breaker block. You need to confirm those things to have a confirmed unicorn model. You do have the higher time frame level. It is aligned with New York Open. There is SMT at that level. But you still need to wait for a confirmed entry function. There's nothing confirmed here yet. You can't call it a unicorn until all of the confirmations occur. Okay? So we can sit here and wait. I'm only going to point to something that is confirmed. So that's why I'm taking that off the screen. We do not have the displacement through the breaker block. We do not have an FEG aligned with the breaker block. So there is nothing confirmed yet. Okay, so without an entry function, there is nothing to do. We have a game plan. We know what we're looking for. If price provides us with what we're looking for, then we'll take a look at the entry function. If price does not provide us with what we're looking for, then we will do nothing and be patient. We'll continue to keep waiting. Okay, so I don't care if the bias is wrong. It's a matter of creating a game plan and then executing that game plan. It's a matter of having a mechanical way of objectively analyzing price and then having actions that align with that. Okay, so we'll sit here and wait. We will see what price provides today. If anybody has any questions or comments, as we're waiting, we can go over that information. Now that everybody knows the game plan, what we're looking for, feel free to throw any questions or comments in the chat. And as we're waiting, we can go over it. So feel free to throw any questions or comments in chat as we're waiting and watching. As of right now, we have no entry function. Now, I don't change the game plan. I would rather be wrong in my bias and then understand why I'm wrong than consistently flip-flop every single time price fluctuates. Create a game plan, then execute the game plan. What is SMT? SMT is a crack in correlation. So NQ and ES are two correlated assets. That means they move the same, right? So when two correlated assets do not move the same at the same time, that's what a crack in correlation is. SMT shows whether there's strength or weakness in the marketplace. So take a look at this. Since we're bullish, this is what bullish SMT would look like. Right, so let's say this is ES on the left. Let's say this is NQ on the right. Notice how ES puts in a higher low, and at the same time, NQ puts in a lower low. This is what SMT would be. This is bullish SMT. When two correlated assets have a crack in correlation, they should be moving the same at the same time. When there's a crack in correlation, that shows that liquidity has been taken or that there's strength or weakness in the marketplace. Same exact thing for bearish SMT. But bearish SMT, you would be looking at the highs, right? So still two correlated assets that have a crack in correlation. Notice how one asset took out the high while the other asset did not take out the high. This would be bearish SMT. SMT is a crack in correlated assets. Which pairs have the best win rate for long-term success? The pair has nothing to do with win rate. The operator does. Doesn't matter what pair you trade. It's a matter of having discipline. It's a matter of having patience. It's a matter of having a defined model. It's a matter of having strict risk management. But ES is stronger. Yes, ES is the one that made the higher low, but there's no entry function on the screen. So once again, if there's no unicorn model, then there is no trade. It doesn't matter if SMT is shown. If you do not have your entry function, there is still no trade. So you have to have your entry model for a trade to occur. There's a 4-hour FEG internal. That's why I'm targeting yesterday's low. Yeah, feel free to have your own bias. I'm not here to tell people what to do. I highly suggest that everybody should be independent thinkers, right? You should always develop your own information. You should always execute your own information. You should never listen to anybody else but yourself. Being an independent thinker is the best way forward. Have you found more success putting a stop just below or above the breaker with a smaller target or at the swing point? You should put the stop at the swing point. Giving yourself more room to breathe is a better idea. Trying to be larger size with a tighter stop loss sounds like a bad idea. None of us have 20 years of experience here, so trying to be overly accurate doesn't sound like a good idea. Give yourself room to breathe. You enter on the weaker side of SMT. You long the stronger pair. You short the weaker pair. So if you're looking at shorts, short the weaker pair. If you're looking at longs, long the stronger pair. Once again, it does not matter if SMT is on the screen if your entry model is not on the screen. You must have your entry model. $850 is not a unicorn? I don't see any unicorn here. $850? I don't see any. There's no unicorn here. No, there is no unicorn there. On ES? No, there's still no unicorn here. Right? You have to displace through the breaker block. Notice how it fails to displace through the breaker block. No candle closures. And then comes back and rebalances the FVG. So now you no longer have an FVG. This is not a unicorn. No, it's not. You need to have displacement through the breaker block. You need to have an FVG aligned with the breaker block. If a unicorn is both on ES and NQ, but SMT lower on NQ and higher on ES, which one is better to play? Once again, when you're longing, you want to use the stronger pair. Right? So if you have a unicorn model on both ES and NQ, long the stronger pair. Right? So if ES shows to be the stronger pair, long that pair. Are you trading before the 10 a.m. red folder news if there's a confirmed unicorn today? I already explained in the top-down analysis that I do not trade from Wednesday to Friday of non-farm payroll week. Wasn't there a unicorn on ES? No, there wasn't. Do we have any free journals where you can store the data? Yeah, use Notion. Notion's a very good opportunity for a free journal. Or Discord. I've been documenting on in Discord for about 7 years now. Everybody that joins my Discord is getting access to my personal journal. The 940 candle doesn't count as displacement. No, once again, that ES trade was not a unicorn. I already explained why. There's a confirmed uni on YM. I don't trade YM, but we can take a look at it. I agree with what you're saying. You have a swing low, swing high, new low, displacement through the breaker block, right? So this would be a breaker block there, has an FVG aligned with it. So I don't trade YM, but we can watch it. This is what the position would look like. wrong button. Hold on. Entries at the beginning of the breaker. Stop loss at the low. Aim for 2R. See if there's a higher time frame level. So this is probably SMT, right? 1500 to 9. So this is SMT against NQ. YM would be considered the stronger pair because NQ took out that low, where YM did not. So we can sit here and watch this position. So the breaker block has to have convincing displacement for the setup. Yes, absolutely. You should have clear and decisive displacement. Clear and decisive displacement. Look at how clearly this closed above the breaker block. All right, and now it's reaching for your target. So if anybody did take this position, you have to be taking profits now. Right? I don't care that it's 1 point away from 2R. You just saw a beautiful move from the unicorn to close enough to 2R. You have to be taking profits at this point. I don't care if it goes exactly to 2R. It is at 1.84R. Be satisfied with enough. That is a beautiful unicorn right there. Everybody should show some love to Checkmate. That was a phenomenal job, Checkmate. He was the one that pointed this out. Very good job, Checkmate. Everybody should give a W in chat for Checkmate. Very good job, Checkmate. What pair is YM? YM's Dow. Dow Jones. Beautiful position there, and these are probably London highs too, so take a look. Yeah, there's equal highs there at London highs. But like I said, you can't be greedy to the point where 1.8 is not enough. 1.8 is more than enough. Very good job. Right, so there goes your plan, right? Being able to create a bias before the market, being able to execute during the market, finding a position aligned with your bias, seeing that there is SMT as confluence to the idea with a very clear and decisive entry function. Look at the displacement here. Notice how clear the displacement is. It had no issue closing past the breaker block, and there was clearly an FVG aligned with the breaker block. Notice how the FVG was left open until you got an entry. These are all the criteria that we were talking about heading into the session. And now you just watched it play out in real time. Now, at this point in time, this becomes a matter of risk management. Meaning, once you get green, it is your responsibility to stay green. Over trading is never acceptable. If you're sitting there saying, if you were one of the individuals that took this position here this morning, and you're now sitting there saying, oh, I have a cushion to work with, in my opinion, that's not the way to go. Less is more. Quality over quantity. Once you get green, it's your responsibility to stay green. Go work on health. Go work on other businesses. Do not hand back what you just made. If you found any value in today's live stream, do me a favor, like the video, sub to the channel. We've been going live here on YouTube for multiple years at this point. If you're getting any value from it, like the video, sub to the channel. That way you can be notified for when we go live again. We'll wait to see if it completes the 2R, but as I already stated, at this point, you have to have taken your profits. You cannot be greedy enough to say that you're only accepting 2R. What if you're a fixed 1 to 2 RR guy? Then follow your rules. Once again, somebody saying something does not determine your actions. You should have a model, you should have rules, and the only thing you should do is follow those rules. Turn off everything else if it's going to be a distraction to you, and focus on implementing your process. Okay? Checkmate, I don't know if you're still here, but feel free to drop your handles. That was phenomenal information this morning. Credit is deserved where credit is due, so please do feel free to throw your handles in chat. I'll be looking to tag you on this post when I wrap up live stream. So we'll wait to see if it finishes the 2R, then we'll begin to wrap up live stream. Go work on our health and our fitness. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up live stream? Feel free to throw it in chat. When the position is completed, we are going to head over to the fitness center and complete the other justifications to our actions. Would you consider the 5-minute uni now? This position already played out. It provided an entry here. It ran to the target here. I would no longer be looking to use that position. It's already done its objective. Thoughts on short to data lows? Once again, I'm bullish today. Just check the beginning of the stream for the top-down analysis. I wouldn't be looking for shorts. Swept to swing low on the daily. Close back inside the range. Looking for a move from external back internal, which would be a bullish bias. I'm only able to trade Asia session. What time window can I use? Asia, that's, what is that? Asia is right here. Let me just put it on the screen real quick. Here's Asia session. That's the time to use for Asia session. That's 8 p.m. to midnight. So if you're looking to trade Asia, it would be 8 p.m. to midnight. Can I trade PM session for unicorn model? Yeah. It doesn't matter what market you're using. It doesn't matter what session you're using. The unicorn model works in both sessions, both markets. What is the name of that indicator? ICT kill zones and pivots. So notice how NQ has not closed above the breaker block. You cannot call this a unicorn. So look at the difference in YM's closure above the breaker block. Look at how YM had no issue displacing through the breaker block. Look at how YM had no issue displacing through the breaker block. Then look at NQ, how it's failing to displace through the breaker block. I would not use this. I would not use this because of the displacement. Yeah, I understand that it closed by one tick, but maybe you're misinterpreting what I'm trying to say here. Look at this large wick, look at this large wick, and look at how it just barely closed above the breaker block. Like, you have to zoom in like this to even realize that it closed above the breaker block. That's not displacement. It should be so clear and decisive that you can't miss it. Look at YM. Like, I don't need to zoom in. You can look how much higher it closed above the breaker block. There's no question about it. It needs to be so clear and decisive that you cannot miss it. It should be so energetic that it has no issue closing past the breaker block. This is displacement right here, not NQ. It needs to be so clearly decisive that you cannot miss it. Do you always use the wick for the BB? When you're outlining a breaker block, you outline the entire candle. That includes the wick. Ash, we only look for the unicorn at the opening times. That is correct, but take out lunch open. I do not execute during lunchtime. Asia open, London open, New York open. Those are the times to look. Do not execute during lunchtime. Yeah, so if it already rebalanced the FVG before closing above the breaker block, I would not use that setup. That's exactly what I pointed to on ES earlier, right? Everybody kept questioning whether this was a breaker block. right? Everybody was questioning these two candles right here being a breaker block. And I said, no, it's not a breaker block because the FVG, look at this here. We could not displace above the breaker block. And then we filled the FVG. And then we finally moved higher. The FVG was already rebalanced before we ever closed above the breaker block. I would not touch this. That's not a unicorn. And then go look at YM. See the difference? FVG is left open. We close above the breaker block decisively. This is what a unicorn looks like right here. Get an entry, and then it goes to target. So that's the position for today. Beautiful. Looks like 1.84R. Beautiful job. So we are going to begin to wrap up live stream with that. I greatly appreciate everybody participating today. Thank you for another lovely live stream. All of the questions, all of the information is greatly appreciated. Another opportunity to gain more conviction in the model. Once again, if you were one of the individuals that took the position, it's time to move to the sidelines, work on health, spend time with the family, protect those profits. Thank you everybody for participating today. I hope everybody has a great day, and I will see you on the next live stream. Have a nice day, everyone.